you know, if I do it and it looks like shit, well then I can ink it right over top of it. It's definitely like it's nice one of those, to have one of those moments where you can do something over it and then that would be the final option, but there is another option that would require that anyway. So as opposed to like if you screwed something up and had to buff it out and redo it, I definitely like these scenarios. Like, well, I'm fighting for that. I'm definitely. I believe it's in the realm of fine art. I mean, if anything, give me the thought process behind it. As putting it in that category, a little bit more academic than most art out there. I mean, and that's what I want to be remembered for is the legacy behind the art as well, and the fact that I took the time to come up with a story because I believe that whoever viewed the art would actually have a brain to understand, to want or thirst for more of the information behind it. Because I know people are, I know there's enough people out there that's a thing. And even if there wasn't, it would make me happy. So, or it does make me happy to add the more intellectual side to the painting. And once again, bringing the lobes of the brain together into something that can inspire through emotion and through visual stimulation, but also once you read the story about it, kind of making your own assessment of what you see, as opposed to me just like titling it something that tells you what the story is. Bill throws a frog in a well. What do you think it's a painting of? A guy named Bill throwing a frog in a well. I've seen paintings like that. Maybe not the frog one, but where they will literally name what they're painting, and that tells the story. Don't worry about it. 3 viewers, whatever. Once I get my tit implant and start having strobe lights behind me and ravey music instead of this chill shit, I'll get 5 viewers. It's all right. It'll grow. I had 25 viewers that one night. That was cool as hell. I had 13 on the other night. That was kind of cool. And it could be time zone. It could be, I know category-wise. I think mine's under variety and creative as well. So maybe I'll change it to like chill stream or IRL or whatever. Oh, no, wait. IRL is a whole separate. I know it's weird with how people label some stuff and it draws more viewers or whatnot. But it's 2 a.m. Yeah, I mean. It's funny though. I tend to get more of a late night crowd. Like it'll, I'll get some viewers in the beginning. I get a little bit of a hum, a little bit of a lull, and then sometimes right around like when it's 1:30 my time, it ends up like popping, and I'm like, oh, and there are some West Coast late night artists up or whatnot. Or I get some European people, I get Australian and whatnot watching, so. Yeah. Like I said, not worried. I've already met some cool people such as yourself, and I have gotten an immense amount of work done, and that is in turn going to make me a good amount of money, keep my career going, and that in itself is already a success for me, whether I have, 5 million viewers or 5 viewers. There is always a good way to look at this shit. And I just talked to Genius Pipe too, so my sponsor. So they're going to be putting the word out more now that I've streamed for a few weeks and I've kind of gotten it down and what I'm doing. I'll be able to. They're gonna promote it out a little bit more to their network and hop on themselves as well to help bump up viewership and. It all takes time and effort. powers that be to get together. There we go. I was working late, came home early, so I'm so sorry I got on late. I was like, I had to finish that frame job on the on the entryway, because literally it's two houses. Like they had a house and then they added on, and it basically looked like they stapled them together. So like when we cut the wall, there was like wall in between and metal running down it, and I was like, God, if I had the kids over and it's just exposed tin and whatever the siding was they had on it, you know, beforehand, like 40 years ago, I was like, no, I got to get the wood framed in. So if the kids come over during the family reunion, and no one's going home with tetanus or. So once I was finished, I was like, okay. And then I was like, all right, time to stream. Hop on. Internet becomes a piece of shit. I'm like, oh, it's gonna be one of those nights, you know. Because, you know, it all comes in waves. No pun intended, since my internet company is named Wave. There we go. All right. Thank you. Yeah, like I said, it's, you know, I've reached out to a few buddies of mine, and I'm like, you should really should set up a channel, you know, like I've got some really good artist friends, and I'm like, I think you would benefit from it. Creative would benefit from it. Just, you know, the more professional level artists that get on here and help build up this thing is I think wouldn't be too hard for them to do it, you know. Most of them are sitting around at home doing nothing anyway except drawing. I'm like, just turn on a camera. Yeah, Jim Lee's fun because he's just a big comic artist. I mean, I remember him being inaccessible, sorry, back in the day at the Comic Cons and whatnot, and to be able to just like hop on his stream late night, and I think that, like I said, the first time I hopped on, I'm like, I'm on shrooms. You know, I wasn't, but I thought, you know, it'd be funny, and he actually started fucking around with that, and I'm like, that's amazing. He's ordering up like Uber Eats, and they're delivering egg rolls to his house, and so it's really cool to see, you know, some of the more, and you get to see the more humane side, like the human side of who these artists are. You know, we're so inundated with Facebook filters and Instagram and how, oh, life just looks so peachy, and to be able to go on Twitch and just chill and see people that, you know, that are just doing their thing. Or artists, like, you know, I fucked up on stream before and covered it up pretty well. But, you know, actually seeing, like, if they make a mistake, like, oh, shit. But how they work through it, you know, as well. Instead of just refined, polished, you know, like Journeyman was talking about sketching online the other night, and he was, you know, I hope you guys enjoy this. I know it's just sketching, and I'm like, shit, yeah, dude. It's awesome to see all levels of the process, and if people get bored, then fuck off. Yeah, he's older, he's rich, he's, you know, I'm not a big fan of his inking as well, and I don't know that he inks, you know, all of his comic art, so I don't know how much time he spends on it, but I mean, I'm not a fan of superhero art in general. I just, you know, think it's cool. It's Jim Lee, and it's somebody from my teen years when I was reading comic books, and some of the, you know, I'm a fan of when he starts talking about anatomy and like where things connect and how to draw certain perspectives and the technical stuff behind it, you know. So he was inking, but it looked like crap. Yeah, I did see one where he was drawing Batman, and it was just like this ink blob on the page, and I'm like, okay, well, it is Batman, and he does dress in black, and well, what the fuck? Yeah, Yeah, when you watch him bust out a page, it's like, shit, dude. And he talks through it, like, okay, we're going to do this, and, and he gets something down, and then he's like, okay, well, now looking at the perspective, like, okay, we got to bring this elbow hair down 2 inches, and this guy's nostrils too flared, and it's just like, shit, man. Like, the way he, even though he puts it on the page, kind of like some of the lines that I do that I eventually get rid of or fix or cover up or as guidelines, he remembers where they are, though, which I think is really cool. Or is able to like assess a drawing as well and know that like, oh, maybe that arm's fucked up or something. Yeah, but yeah, definitely inking's not his strength. Oh, she is just looking more gorgeous by the minute. She's like, dine with me and I will tell you of the first 80 years of my life. My adventures. You're like, it's all good. Oh, for sure. I just pimp Holdine ink because it's fucking amazing. But without talent, that ink is just black shit in a bottle, But I love, yeah, I mean, this is 15, I'm 40, 25 years of 34, does that make sense? Yeah, of brush control and line work, and, so and just loving it, it's definitely a love affair between just seeing the ink hit that canvas and do what I want it to do. That's the big payoff. My same with James Taylor, my first publisher. His hand inked art is insane. It is the cleanest shit I've ever seen. I mean, it looks like a machine did it, but it has a style, and it's just so beautiful, and it's like it really is fine art. Like it's comic art, but it's like no, this thing looks like you would have had to build like a robot to do this kind of art, this kind of inking that's that clean. Like it's insane. It's awesome. The battle is a revered artifact. Oh, you'll bust it open. It's got like candles lit around it. One day I will use you. I'm just waiting for the birth. There we go. All right. Sexy nose. It's like they took a penis and clubbed it against a tree for about an hour and said, here's your nose. She does not have a stunning profile. There we go. I think we'll go a little darker there. Tuck that fold in a little more. Wrinkly. Yeah, I mean, she's definitely like, that's like 80 years old. That's about 75, you know. Just like a look at the bottle. So these spies will make him go, all right, dude, I don't underestimate anybody. I'm sure you will rock out some cool shit. I've seen what you do with the patterns and whatnot. I mean, I know that's digital, but just do that shit with your hand. And you're good to go. It is a nice bottle, though. It's plain. It's no frills. It's just, you know, it forces you to just imagine, like, oh, there's such inky goodness in there, and I could create some killer shit, and I need to break it open within 30 days, or Sean will ban me. You dig the color? Oh, okay. I mean, I haven't put much on, but yeah, wait till this gets a lot more orangey, and then we put the pale blues, and you know, or not wait. I mean, you already like it, but I think there's going to be once the bright colors get in there, but even a little different. I mean, I do want them a little bit more muted because it is the 50s, you know, and they're definitely not going to be neon or anything like Charmanta Peak was. That tank painting came out really fucking bright. Came out much brighter than I thought it would. I like it. I think it came out rad, but it's funny how they sometimes you know, you have one thing in mind and something else comes out and it's like, oh, all right. So maybe you had something in mind, Mr. Paintbrush. You know, and that's okay. But yeah, I like just how, like I said, just the jaundicey kind of yellow she has on her skin. Shade that upper lip in a little. There we go. Yeah. Cheers. Hit the 2 hour mark. And I'm only doing a 0.4% frame drop instead of 62%. I think our internet's solved. And darken up the joint. There we go. There we go. Let's do a little bit of hatching on the bottom of her chin there. 2. Up underneath there. saggy, and I kind of twisted it, almost like her, her skin's starting to sag, and it's also just like just kind of like twisting around that bulge, jaw of hers, and almost like a drippy candle, a drippy candle. All right, so we'll go in. In fact, I'm gonna put a little more shadow up underneath, right where the nose connects to the visor, or not connects, but takes her visor off, just peels her nose right off. There we go. Yeah, it's funny how like just the whole concept of doing the Alice in Normal Land, just pulling the characters through the rabbit hole and putting them in our normal life, situations. We just kind of talked through that last night, and the idea just presented itself. It's like, I don't even know where I got the original idea just to make her an aged poker player. It just kind of like came to me, but that's how it usually builds with me as far as coming up with a series or an idea. It's just like, wow, okay, we got her. What would the caterpillar do or have to do? What would the Mad Hatter do? What would Alice do? What would the White Rabbit? All that, if they actually had to get like real jobs and pay rent and it's like reverse escapism. It's like, we didn't come to look at your art to amplify our shitty lives. Sorry. There we go. Yeah. Cool. Like I said, it's just fun to come up with concepts like that. To, like we talked about last night, like this necessarily doesn't have to be the Red Queen. It only is because I say it is, and it has a few, indicators. The roses and the heart, and so it can be a stand-alone painting and fit into my own just twisted character designs and ideas, but just to kind of like meld that concept and make it work, or the fact that it works. It's like, yeah, it just seems like something that has to be done. I'm glad get in there with these super tight lines. Like grandma's had those really fine lines, that papery skin. Oh, I'm gonna need glasses. I need one of those big magnifiers so I can work that. It's funny. I used to zoom in with the camera and just paint by looking at the screen. Like, yeah, that'll work. My eyes get all fluttery. A little cigarette here, which we'll go back in and hit with, obviously color, but just want to sharpen that up a bit. Yeah, I'm liking her. Oh, she likes me though. Why the fuck did you paint me? I can hear her saying it. Some little brow lines in there. McDonald's arch eyebrows. Whoop. My paint rag on the other side tonight. I keep reaching over and there. Hatching. Tuck that under. Really kind of shade around it to bring her lids out. There we go. And then let me zoom in on this bad boy. Let's see how close we can get so I can show you the detail on the line work. There you go. Turn it. That's way too zoomed. There we go. So we can check out all the line work. Look into her eyes. Oh, I slay myself. Okay. Yeah, I can already see it, just the green wash, you know, and what I'll do is put heavy green on the sides and fade it out and, you know, fade it over and that'll be it. And I think we will go with green. She's going to be like red and white striped and, you know, have the red roses with a little bit of green, but I think like a bright kind of lime translucent green would look really cool over the visor. Yeah. Oh, God, I'll be yawning on camera. Woo, cheers. But it would be funny too, maybe in white, right, like Las Vegas or Reno across it. I keep saying Vegas. She's just not ready for that excitement. No Vegas. And do I want to do black hair or red hair? She's the red queen. I like redheads. Maybe that's all I paint usually. Think about that for a minute. Let's go in and stripe the red here, and then I'll figure out the hair. That red was okay. Let's see. Let me pull out the lunchbox. Find my reds. Here we go. That's a nice red. I gotta buy more red. Holy shit. I haven't bought red in a while. Yeah. No, that won't do. Wrong red. Oh well. We're gonna take the flat brush here. Maybe, yeah. I'm gonna go into that dark red actually again. I can't wait to get to the background when I get all of her painted, and then we just go in and drop in this just contrasting 1950s background. We'll see. I did have red and white stripes, but I'll see if that makes her look too much like the candy cane queen. It's just a base red anyway. It would definitely pop against the background. Some of those folds hit. Make a choice here. There we go. Make a decision. Cool Bob Ross. Pull out that 2-inch house brush. Ruger, have you done any digital work? I have, occasionally. I experimented many years ago with digital work. I did a couple album covers, actually. One for a band that the girl I was dating at the time was in, and then I did one for this compilation for a magazine over in Germany. They did an interview with me, and every magazine came with a CD insert, so I did the stuff for that. It may still be up on my DeviantArt page. I don't think I've deleted that page yet. I don't use it, but I think if you scroll back many years, there may be on it. Other than that, no, I'm traditional. I don't get dirty enough using a computer. I do some vectoring and whatnot for like hat pin design and manufacturing stuff, but nothing artistic with or like this caliber artistic with digital. I do flyer design, like when I do a nightclub event. But I've done stuff like where I'll import, like take photos of grass and leaves and stuff in my backyard and cut out strips of muslin and write stuff on it, and then almost like Dave McKean from the Sandman, like take all those elements and put it together into like a flyer or whatnot. So I have done work like that digitally, but no, as far as my catalog of my artwork and my comic books and gaming art and even my concept art for Twisted Metal for PlayStation was all traditional, all hand painted. I did conceptual art for a movie called The Cave, which was all hand painted as well. But I just, yeah, enjoy traditional. I pay my taxes online. Is that an art? I do creative financing. Are you a digital artist? If you are, feel free to pop a link in the chat. I don't mind if people share their art or what they've been working on or whatnot. Panda, hello. Well, that's like Panda. Here's a monkey. Woo, greetings. How are you doing tonight? Thanks for the host. I see you are hosting the stream. Oh, Journeyman, what is up, dude? Holy shit, we got a banger of a host coming in. 42 viewers. Good stuff. Welcome everyone. Throw out that devil again, wherever he may be. Mr. Willow, thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. Hey, what's up? Yeah, thanks for popping in. We're starting to drop the color in on the Journeyman. What's up, dude? You got to hop over and catch a little. Thanks for the follow. What's up? Keyroon Art. Oh, everyone's jumping in. Have you thought of trying half digital, half traditional? I haven't done that, but we have a photographer buddy in Vegas that used to take pinup girls and whatnot and put them in positions like they were holding a sword or whatnot, and we would print those on canvas, and then we would paint the monsters that they were fighting on the canvas themselves. So I have experimented with mixed media. I've done a lot of, especially when I was doing a lot of live art at nightclubs in LA and San Diego. I would do, in fact, one of my favorite stories, we did a live art event at this like real bougie club downtown San Diego, you know, the type of people that go there. So I did this entire painting and then ripped it in half, or like 4 different pieces, and people were like freaking out, and they were like, one guy ran up, he's like, I was gonna buy that, and I'm like, the fuck you were. But then what I did is I had a raw frame, and I went and I tied rope to the ends of it and actually hung up, the pieces on the frame, and then added more pictures and stuff like that. So, just goofing around with mixed media stuff like that. So yeah, not a lot of digital. If someone wanted to collaborate, something like that, if they wanted to shoot something over digitally and I'll print it out and paint on it or whatnot, I'm open to maybe experimenting with that. The hardest part of that is finding time, but Oh, Moon's here. What's up? Thank you everyone for hopping on. So yeah, then now that I got a bunch of people here, I'll get back into what we're doing, or what I'm doing. I've just been talking to Cigar Czar so long. You're now part of it, dude. So, but basically, I have. Let me show what I got here. This is so I go on tour every year, and I do all the big rock shows that Danny Wimmer throws, and I live paint and do all sorts of crazy shit there. So, my sponsor this year is Genius Pipe. So this is actually a pipe, magnetic pipe. Just got voted High Times #1 pipe. They put my artwork on it. So this is Ma Deuce. And this one in particular is actually signed by Kevin Smith and Jason Mewes. So he got Sama, Bob, and Jay pipe here. They want a few more designs, and we did an Alice series. We did a Hatter. We did an Alice, kind of an obscure Alice. I did a big painting where they're all drinking absinthe and freaking out at what they're hallucinating. So they wanted a Red Queen. So this is actually the Red Queen from Alice in Wonderland. But what I did is I took her, yeah, made him look like a him, and pulled her into our world. So now she's just a decrepit 80-year-old. These are all Social Security checks in her crown, made up of roses, cigar butts, a Queen of Hearts card. So she's basically in Reno in 1955, just playing a shitty round of poker. Got a little tree growing up here to add a little fantasy element, holding the cards and then all her spent butts. And then I went in and designed these little 1950s kind of like patterns in the background. But I think we've, talked about it, and we may do a whole series of these. Genius Pipes is down to put out a whole series of kind of these, like, taking Alice in Wonderland characters and pulling them out of the rabbit hole in the opposite direction. Like, you come here, Yeah, I figured as much, Moonwitch. You're like on my shoulder. You're like Gazoo from Fred Flintstone, my conscience hanging there. So, and then let me pop out the other, let's see. And then this is the one I just finished. So you guys just joining can get an idea of what a finished piece will look like. So this is the devil with 4 slugs coming out of his mouth and no bottom jaw, just a tongue, ready for a kiss. And he's got a sourdough sombrero and the boneyard, and then you got this bourbon barrel up here that's literally like, fuck yeah, metal as fuck, and he's drinking himself to death, literally. So this is for a poster for a rock show in Kentucky called Louder Than Life in September. 9 Inch Nails was headlining it. The previous weekend I'll be there for Bourbon and Beyond, which is a big bourbon festival thrown by the same guy, and Robert Plant's headlining, and David Byrne from Talking Heads and whatnot. So yeah, give me some food too, Journeyman. I'm getting kind of famished. Then you hear someone, what are you guys doing? Yelling at each other? But yeah, so there's a finished one. Just started this one last night and got all the inks and pencils in, and right now I am dropping in the color. I'll zoom in a little bit here. That would not be zoom in. Okay, there we go. So you can see kind of been working on the line work on her face, just really getting all the folds and whatnot. It's all acrylic paint, and then Holbein ink, which is if you actually use it and you don't use it as like a paperweight, it's a beautiful ink to use. It's a Japanese ink called Holbein with a German name, and then I just use a zero liner brush for all the fine line work. And then, yeah, feel free to follow me on Instagram at Sean Dietrich, Sean Dietrich Arts, my website. I've done work for PlayStation on Twisted Metal. I've got a big mural up at the Facebook corporate headquarters. I've done work for Asahi Beer. I do all the tray work currently for OCB Rolling Papers. What what else have I got going on? I do all the big rock shows. I'm the art director for Herb Magazine, which is the biggest smoke shop magazine, and I do my own weird shit as well. And yes, that is a stab at you, Cigar Star. Comics, yeah. I started out in comics. So I did Industriocide, which is a 120-page graphic novel. I did Fervor, Mess, and Catalepsy. They were all one-shots, you know, and Industriocide was a 120-page graphic novel. So indie books, you know, published through Rorschach Entertainment. Catalepsy was through 215 Inc. out of Philly. I'm actually missing San Diego Comic-Con for the first time in 18 years because I'm busy. I love Sean. Yeah, I love him too. I sleep with him every night. Yeah. I tell people that when they come up to the booth. They're like, is the artist here? Do you know him? I'm like, oh, dude, I so know him. I sleep with him every night. And they're like, what? I am him. And the music you're hearing, a little dancey, but Sugar, the guy who's usually sitting behind me, that's his music studio. On my feed and on the website, Sean Dietrich Art, and on YouTube, you can watch time lapses. I did 6 hand-painted rolling trays, and then I did one called Honest Brutality, which was like a devil and a big bear. It was a tribute to a heavy metal podcast in Redding, California. Normally, personal music, I'm a little bit more into like ministry and all the darker shit, but this is all unreleased music that Sugar's been kind enough to let me broadcast since it's non-copywritten. But he writes all the music for my time lapses as well that you can check out on the site. So right now, just dropping in a little bit of color on her dress. She has like kind of a high collar, like Victorian, like Middle Ages type dress, but it has like a t-shirt collar, so, and it goes well with her poker visor. So we're gonna eventually do like a green wash and give her like the green poker, you know. Too many tumbleweeds. Thank you for the follow. Appreciate it, man. Would you collaborate with a writer to create another comic series? Down the road, I would love to. The immense amount of time that it takes to complete that, I just don't have the bandwidth right now. But I would love to get back into comics and put another comic out. I haven't put a comic out since 2005. And I do have a 120-page or 140-page graphic novel written called Heart Murmur, but I just haven't even had time to draw that. So down the road, yeah, once I get my ducks in a row and everything's running smooth. I just signed a manufacturing deal. I'm just developing products for smoke shops and whatnot. We did some cool little mats, little dab mats and whatnot, and hat pins and all sorts of stuff. So I just kind of jumped into the whole manufacturing thing, which is like taking on another full-time job aside from being an artist, which, as many of you know, is like having 6 full-time jobs. But yeah, give me a few years. Which sounds like a joke, but right now my commission list is like, I think I'm 2 years out, a year and a half out on bigger paintings, and like 6 months on smaller stuff. So I always used to laugh when artists were like, and I'm like, takes you that long? And they're like, no, I'm fucking busy. I'm like, oh, okay. But it can happen. Yeah, get some ink. Everybody needs to buy a bottle of Holbein ink, even if you're not even if you don't ink. Just like throw it at each other. I told this story as for one of my first streams, but it truly is the most opaque ink. And my buddy was fucking around with the bottle one day, and the cap was loose, and I'm like, dude, don't mess with the ink. Like, it will soak through your clothes. And sure enough, bloop, all over him. So he ran to the bathroom to wash up, and he came back, and he's like, dude, my dick's black. He's like, it's soaked all the way through my pants. And I'm like, told you. And technique-wise, like, I start off with a bunch of washes, and you can see, like, this ink, it's completely waterproof. So all this background kind of salmon-y color was washed over top of it. And I mean, 15, 20 seconds after you throw it on the canvas, you could chuck a bucket of water at it and it won't run. So it's really, really awesome stuff. Woo. Stay on them. Squeaky wheel gets the grease. It says, I guarantee you. Oh yeah, dude. I mean, I'm all about good projects. I've definitely worked with people that are and you're damn right. The squeaky wheel gets the grease. I mean, I got a buddy of mine whose son still wants a tattoo design, and I'm like, just keep hounding me, and it will happen one day. If it's a cool idea, I mean, that's generally how I work. But right now in my career, I'm in the midst of everything's starting to snowball right now. So I'm starting to pick up the bigger gigs. I got kind of got to strike while the iron's hot. The cannabis industry is huge. I've been doing art for that for a very long time, and as well as getting picked up by OCB is a multi-billion-dollar rolling paper company, and just really establishing myself with a lot of these bigger companies that can actually provide a lot of exposure as well as the financial end of it, because they are paying a lot for paintings. But it'll eventually even out, and I'll make enough. I'll have some money saved up, and I'll be able to kind of balance projects and do some guerrilla shit. And Sugar and I have a music project called the Funk. We're ready to get that out, where he DJs and does all the synth work and whatnot, and then I live paint, and we have film and projections and all that shit, and then it's and the concept behind it is so if you guys ever watch any of the old Nazi exploitation, blaxploitation movies, sexploitation movies in the 70s, we're big fans of that shit. Faster Pussycat, Kill Kill, all the Russ Meyer stuff, and so we decided to make our own, combining almost all the genres that we could think of, and so we came up with a concept for a story. The story, we've done a few performances, but basically it's like a high-ranking Nazi general that escapes Nuremberg trials, and he escapes to South America, but he starts to get influenced by the music on the way. He stops in Haiti, learns about voodoo, and then he ends up eventually getting into the United States through New Orleans by using German technology from World War II. He dyes his skin black, and he starts the funk music movement in America. So very edgy, very dark comedy, very just very what we need in this world right now. Everybody's so PC and all that, and I'm like, no, let's just come up with some fucking weird shit. So, yeah, dude, I don't steal ideas. I got enough of my own. Are you kidding? I got enough ideas till the day I'm dead, and I think a lot of them are good. So I wrote everything down when I traveled, and I didn't go to art school. Instead, I took off. When I was 18, I went to New Orleans. I started living. I started meeting crazy, freaky, weird people, and that's how I came up with my style and my ideas, and I knew that was going to help me more than paying $100,000 to go to the Art Institute and getting the creativity beat out of me. So yeah, and even if it's just a concept or a pitch, or I mean, I have friends in the comic industry. My friend Ollie Garza draws. He drew Anthony Bourdain's last comic, Get Zero, and he just I don't know what the project is, but he posted something about being back with Marvel again. So, and a slew of other comic artists. I mean, my first publisher throws a Comic-Con in Tacoma called Jet City that I'm at every year. It's the only Comic-Con I do now, just because of time and whatnot. But yeah, I mean, if I can't do it, I can maybe check the concept out and throw it to maybe connect you with an artist or whatnot. There's always artists looking to get into the business and do creative stuff. All right, I like that. Oh yeah, yeah. Journeyman knows. I don't think you'll ever run out of ideas, man. And if you do, I'm sure you'll just kind of go like this, and maybe a little bit of acid will lodge itself loose from a past trip, and you'll be good again. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't try and figure it out. That's why it's a tough question to answer when people are like, what inspires you, or how do you come up with your ideas, or I'm like, I don't know, and I don't really give a fuck. Like, as long as it keeps happening, as long as I wake up every morning and I'm like, okay, this is rad, and I'm still doing it, and I'm making money, and I have a wife and 2 kids that are, she doesn't have to work, but she runs the wholesale business now, but and my kids are coming out just as weird as me, and that's awesome, and they're drawing, and they're having a good time, then whatever. I don't need to analyze and figure out the mystery behind what makes an artist, or why my imagination works, or what I did last summer, you know? Yeah. And it's just perception. And I think in this day and age, when you're so stuck on your phone and your tablet and all your useless shit, which I'm pretty sure most of what anybody on, is watching now looks on, maybe because we're a little bit more creative side of, the creative set of people, we might actually look at some cool shit, but pay attention. Look around. I mean, there's so much weird shit in the world that you could draw from. And, I mean, I could hang out at one rock show and come up with, like, character designs just by watching how many people vomit out front of my booth, because they drank too much, do too much day drinking. Too many Coors Lights at noon in 90-degree weather. And that's, and then what you do is you just start building up the backstory, like, oh, that's Bob. Bob's a truck driver, and this is his only, every year he can only go to one concert, and, well, Skinner's headlining this one, and he decided to show up, but he got so excited, and he lost his friends within 20 minutes of getting in the concert because he had never been to one before, and so you can, you just start, it's like writers when they come up with, like, a character, even if the character is only in it for maybe, like, maybe 5 episodes of a show, or it's just like, they've written the backstory for this person, back to his childhood in order to know these people. And we talked last night, I don't know if Cigarzar was on or whatnot, or if I was who I was talking to, but about like coming up with ideas and having, artist block or whatnot. And I'm like, I used to say, like, I'm a big Hunter S. Thompson fan. If I was hired to paint Fear and Loathing, what would I do? And then I would just start drawing, like going through and being like, oh, this is a great scene. I love the carousel scene where he's like on ether and I gotta get out of here, man. I got the fear, like, okay, this is what I would draw. And then through drawing and just getting back into the process again and I don't know, something would just click and I would, oh yeah, I want to do something with like a character like this and just kind of run with it. So let's paint the roses red. I have ideas for comics I can't connect. Oh shit, wrong red. I swear they paint one thing on these fucking tubes and comes out another. Is this the red? Yeah. You are an artist. Yeah, I run into that a lot. I mean, I think I haven't been on it in like a decade, but I did see an email about digital webbing, which used to be a big hub for comic artists and writers to meet up and exchange ideas or get, work or whatnot. I saw some email about a relaunch, so I'm not sure. I haven't been on it. I don't know if they're doing a big thing where, they're getting people to get back into digital webbing to collaborate or whatnot. So might be an option to find an artist or whatnot, but, I'm finding it's as the years go on, like I start saying, "Oh yeah, have you been to this site?" And people will be like, "Yeah, that was defunct like 5 years ago." Oh well, it was cool. This is a track from one of my time lapses, Billy Martinez and the Birth of Paper. So the painting itself, it's on a rolling tray. It's actually about the Chinese dynasty that invented paper. It was actually a byproduct of the textile industry, whatever the scraps were or whatnot. They pressed it, and that's how paper was invented. And then I drew this little Asian girl in her traditional garb at the time, and it looked exactly like my buddy Billy Martinez's work. He draws a lot of like anime-ish so I just threw his name in the title. So it wasn't a Mexican that invented paper. It was Billy Martinez just invented, cool art. Very, very cool artist, though. He's a buddy of mine out of Nashville. We've done a lot of live art together. I've had the ideas for comic for 3 years now. I haven't written anything down because I don't think I'll ever be able to afford an artist to do the art for it. Dude, write it down. Write it down. Get it out of your head, My wife's the same way. She has so many great ideas, and it's taken a long time to get her to I'm like, stop letting it bang around in your head. That's the worst thing you can do. Write it down. Keep a journal. I used to write, I would have separate things, like if I dreamed up something fucked up, I would write it down. But what I would do is I'd have a file on my computer where I would just write it, but I wouldn't use any punctuation. So it was like this 20-page sentence, because I didn't want to define this was one dream and that was another, and then eventually I would just start to read through this stuff and I'd be like, yeah, that'd be a cool concept if I mixed this psychotic car salesman with a group of wavy, wacky, inflatable men that are out to kill him or run away from him or say, whatever, and then kind of go from there. But yeah, get it out of your head and write it down. It's not a matter of affording an artist. I mean, there's a lot of artists out there that would literally work on spec or collaborate with you and take a percentage of sales if it got picked up. You just got to find that right person that wants to jump on board and help you bring it to realization. I would just hate to think that it's a super sick idea and then never comes to fruition, Hemingway could not draw a stick figure, no, but he could drink a fucking cocktail, and there you go. He is a writer. Yeah, and writers don't know how to draw. Most writers, we wish you wouldn't. My favorite artist is Van Gogh, Hemingway. Yeah, Hemingway's a big one. I just started reading For Whom the Bell Tolls again. That's my latest shitter read. We were joking earlier about how the only time I have to read books now is when I'm taking a crap. And I was going to do a website called Sean Shitter Reviews. But yeah, For Whom the Bell Tolls is my latest offering of the commode. There we go. Drop these roses in, put some greens in. Maybe we'll drop in that the visor green. But yeah, just simple little pattern. I love how that really kind of added to it. Yeah, the word artist is very broad, There's definitely and I mean, shit, just write. It's gonna be give you something to do. It's relaxing. Trust me, getting shit out of your head is freeing. Oh, this is a great track. Listen to the advice of this psychotic preacher. After follow. Thanks for the follow. Nanamite. Damn. Love it. Welcome. How is the night going for you? You popping in on the night shift? All right. Yeah, we got a lot of work done tonight. Since the cries of the carrots. Since last night, so yeah, welcome. Thank you for hopping on and checking it out. And yeah, one thing we were talking about last night of the painting, and since this is going to be on a pipe, it was pulling the elements off, because I know this company wants to do a high-end line of fabrics to be used in textiles, and they want to take some of my textures and pull and zoom in on them and use them for fabrics. So, but we have these line of rolling trays and coffee mugs and stuff coming out, disposable. They're bamboo fiber mugs. So I was coming up with different textures to use. So So it's a way to look at a painting and say, how does this thing work hard for me, you know? And you know, if you are doing art for manufacturing or for production, and then I think we'll do a little color stripping on this. Show that technique. Off work for the night, 4 p.m. to 2 a.m. Oh yeah. Oh, nice. Nice. Sounds like a great schedule. It's like an artist schedule, but for a real job, you know. I've been looking for an artist to be willing to work on it, but I feel bad not being able to pay them in any way, and everyone I found wouldn't do it without being paid a minimum of $30 an hour. $30 an hour to draw a comic? I don't know what fucking planet they're living on, but you don't get paid hourly. Or do you mean page? There we go. So throw a little water on, hit it with the old rag, and then that kind of like gives it that antiquated look, you know, strips the color away. Did a little bit up here. You can see it in the background as well. It's all, you know, for me about adding layers and different things to keep keep it flowing. So, Roger, I'll tell you, man, like, there is just as many artists out there that are looking for a writer that want to get into comics and can't write, but they can draw. So, and of course, I mean, you know, as an artist, it's like, yeah, always try and get paid for your work, but you know, when you're starting out, you know, as long as there's something there, like, you know, if you guys really click and you're just like, okay, and you have a good plan for how you want to execute the book, and, you know, oh, we're going to these Comic-Cons, or we're going for, you know, once the book's out, we have a process of getting it out to the public, or we just want to put a book out and do a small run, or we want to submit to bigger companies. I mean, there's just as many artists out there that are looking for a book to work on, as opposed to, you know, just charging to do it. As long as the end game's there, like if you do put the book out, you know, fuck, I'm happy to get any 10 an hour job. Yeah, well, you know, exactly. See, there are artists with that attitude out there. I mean, it's super fucking competitive. So if you're starting off in the art world and you're just holding out for the big money, like, whatever. You can make my coffee at Starbucks, you know. No offense to any baristas watching right now, because I am a fucking huge coffee fanatic, and you are my gods, so. Unless you're the brewer of PBR. Cheers, everyone. Thanks for hanging out. Thank you so much for all the new followers and groovy people just hanging. I normally stream, I guess I should kind of pimp the stream a little bit, 9 p.m. Monday through Friday, till whenever. Generally speaking, if I start a new painting, I do the pencil and I do the ink, and then I let that just sit, and that'll be one night, and then I will come back and start dropping color in the next night, and then I'll just kind of go, you know, unless something's happening the next day and I have to get up early or whatever, but yeah, a lot of times I'll just chill. Thought about maybe taking Monday and Tuesday and turning it into, you know, doing a day stream or whatnot, but I just don't like working during the day. Or actually, what happens is usually all the business side of shit happens during the day. And then once all those little business babies go to bed, that's the guy. That was a funny sample. That was a priest saying that, like, each letter as a number, and if you add up someone's name and it's 666, then they're the Antichrist. We find all sorts of cool shit on the internet. Or driving through the South, we'll turn on, like, screaming Bible radio and just start recording in order to get some good samples. Some good shit. There we go. So just adding a little bit of shading to these roses as well. If they believe it's for the art produced, yeah, you know, I hardly work at all. I don't want to hear that. I want to know everybody has a cool job. I want to know that they're making some loot, you know. Yeah, and especially comics, man. Comics is a passion. Believe me, when you find comic artists, no one's doing it for the fucking money. You find, they're in this industry because, and they're doing comics because they love it, you know. And you're going to have to expand anyway into other industries, into licensing. If you want to make good money in this industry, or in the comic industry especially, but in being an artist, you're going to have to start deciding, on other revenue streams as well, just like a musician, licensing out to commercials or whatnot, or residual income. So yeah, I mean, get the book out there. If it's a great idea, it's super cool. You can always work, different angles. So. Mosquito painting, dude. I love that mosquito painting. That came out rad. That was one that I was kind of like, yeah, it's simple, and I didn't know, but yeah, I dig that one. I'm thinking of making a patch out of that one and whatnot. I knew a priest who said, "To hell with everything but the circus," and I hate hanging around with priests. They're so boring. Yeah, they're not my favorite people, but whatever. I'm unemployed, trying to get on disability, so literally would not be able to pay unless it sold well. Yeah, get that out of your head, dude. Don't worry about money. Find someone who's go on DeviantArt. There's 30 million bored motherfuckers on there that will draw a comic book for you. In digital webbing, I believe. Look that up and see if they are relaunching it and if anybody's even paying attention. Comic communities. Watch people that stream comic art on here. I know there's a section for it, isn't there? I believe there is comic art, Not that any, but it's try everything, You have so many options now. I mean, in the late 90s, when I was sending off, photocopying my art and putting it in envelopes and sending it off to publishers and hoping I got a letter back that said, yeah, we'll publish you, or a phone call, or shit, man. I mean, I had to go to the library to use that brand new thing called the internet, just to look up people's addresses. Other than that, it was just like combing the comic book. I would go to the comic book store and open up the books and just write down the publishers' addresses. And I just keep this little black book of all these publishers, and finally got picked up, by a small indie publisher in El Paso, and got the first book out. And then from there, once the book was out, the first guy to review it ran an indie comic review site who wanted to get into publishing, and he's like, dude, I'll take your first book and collect it into a graphic novel. And that's how I found my other publisher. So it wasn't even looking at a publisher. I just, he came down to San Diego Comic-Con, and I hung out with him, and he's like, yeah, I want to take the review site. I want to stop doing that and actually start publishing. And that's how I got, through him, I put out 4 books, a graphic novel, 120 pages, and then 3 other books. So you never know where the opportunities are going to come from. I mean, I started out in comics. I jumped over and I worked on Twisted Metal for PlayStation, and now I work for a billion-dollar rolling paper company. Like, if you asked me 10 years ago, would I be drawing rolling trays or posters for rolling papers, I'd be like, why? Like, why the hell would that be a thing? So, but I just positioned myself in that industry, in the cannabis industry, and got discovered by this company, and now I got steady work from them. They take me out to trade shows and whatnot. So it's like you never know where you're gonna do. So I did. I worked for 3 weeks on a Twisted Metal project that never got produced. It was kind of like that new Silent Hill Guillermo del Toro was going to put out. My job was to take Sweet Tooth the Clown and come up with his entire backstory as to why he became a psychotic murderer. So I met with Sony, and we had a really good board meeting, watching like Chris Cunningham, Aphex Twin videos, and hey, look at this picture of this guy on Rotten.com with his face weed whacked off, and it's kind of what we're looking for. It was a great project because they were like, don't worry about the rating system. Like, just give us the most fucked up shit you can, and we'd rather tone it down than not have you go too brutal enough. So I came up with a few concepts. I guess I could tell you guys what they were. It's never going to come to fruition, and my NDA is up. But But basically, I mean, one of them was like, well, the great one that they couldn't do at all because there was anal penetration. But basically, Sweet Tooth wakes up in a toilet, like his head's coming out of a toilet, and he's just looking around like, what the hell? And his buddy comes and walks in and sits on him. So his body goes to take a shit and sits on his head. And so inside his intestines, this little tapeworm kind of comes up to him, and he's got these digital eyes. And these eyes start playing, like replaying this video of him beating his grandparents to death when he was younger. And that kind of kicked off why he became like a brutal murderer and whatnot. The other one was about like a little girl who had a druggy mom, an alcoholic dad. She had no hopes in life, nothing. She walked by the garbage can by an alley one day, and there was a cello leaning against it, and maybe a string was broken or something. I forgot why she picked it up. She was just inspired by it, and she took it to school and learned to play, and she worked with the teacher, and it was really the only thing that inspired her and that gave her relief from her home life. And then she got to the point where she was going to play and perform in front of the whole school, and that's that night when she was walking, she had to walk alone because her parents were strung out, and so she got abducted in the alley by Sweet Tooth on her way to her first performance and got murdered. And how did I have the cutscene set up? I think it was as she lay dying, you zoomed in through her eye, and as you got to the eye, it would open up, and it opened into this room, and it was her ripping Sweet Tooth's head off, and she was playing his esophagus like a cello, and so that was the other idea or one of the other cutscenes that I came up with to explain some of Sweet Tooth's backstory. So, all cool shit that never got produced because one company got into a fight with another or some bullshit, and I was like, then they went and put out that other crappy Twisted Metal a few years later, and I was like, oh, come on, man. So, there is a lot of disappointment that happens like that in the gaming world. But yeah, that was a good one. Super fun project to work on, and I'm trying to think if there was man, I just can't think of the other cutscenes I did. One day I still have the original artwork and the original sketches. I'll have to pull those out and show you guys the Twisted Metal art. I mean, it's 12 years old, 10 years old, something like that. So it's, it's funny. But the one where he goes up his own ass and has relives a memory I thought it was great, but they were like, yeah, that's rectal penetration. We can't have that on, that one will never get past the censors. And I'm like, oh, okay, all right. Well, now you got to tell me this. Like, you got to give me that list of like the words you can't say on the radio or whatnot. Like, what can't I draw? And we'll go from there. I found a few artists I like, but they're working on their own thing, want to be paid. Also trying to find an artist whose style would fit, but I don't know if she'll worry about it. It depends what kind of comic it is, but I'm all for mixing up styles too. Like, I'd love to see like Dave McKean do a superhero book, or Frank Miller do whatever, a My Little Pony comic, or because that stuff's huge right now. And I just like mashups like that because I would love to see. When I go to Comic Cons and I see some like badass styles, and I'll commission them to do some weird shit. Like, they do superheroes, but I want them to draw Hunter S. Thompson, as Bourbon Man or whatever. And so possibly, I mean, if it's a super dark comic, make sure that they know more of like the subject matter that you're, or are willing to put the amount of research into it, as opposed to, someone who just is drawing, the Notebook equivalent of a romance comic, and then you want them to draw like something that would be in an insert in a Slayer album. That might not work, but then again, hey, mashups are pretty dope. Frank Miller doing My Little Pony, you're damn right. Yeah, they told me to go big, and I delivered. I mean, that's, back then, I mean, all my comic books that I've drawn were very dark and really fucked up, and they had like dumpster babies and all sorts of crap, and like, I've gone a little bit more trippier over the last few years, and but But that's just because of the industry I've been playing around in. Once I get back into, I mean, I used to live paint like huge paintings at like fetish clubs in LA playing, the guitarist from Ministry would be spinning and cage dancers and all that. I mean, I painted everywhere. I mean, it's wherever there's people that like art, you know. Yeah, Frank Miller doing My Little Pony would be a shit. And it's funny, when I was testing to do a Wizard of Oz book for IDW, one of the ones sketch covers they offered me was My Little Pony, because there's a huge following for dark, like really wild My Little Pony art. I guess it's like a thing. So, not the bronies, but like people just want wild ass My Little Pony art. I'm like, that'd be cool. I just wanted to do one because I know my 10-year-old daughter, she was 7 at the time, would just think that was the bee's knees. So. It will start like a slice of life and then becomes pretty dark after a few issues. Cool, man. Yeah. It seems like anybody who can draw or put some, I mean, if it's slice of life, just depends how. Okay, Sean, I didn't know that. I'm not pony weird. Yes, there are some super sick My Little Pony like custom hand painted covers out there, and yeah, I wanted to do one. The Max, Sam Keith, I was going to do a Max poster of My Little Pony. These are all projects I could probably jump back in on, but I'm just so busy doing my own shit. It's like. But nice to know they may still be on the back burner. I would love to do some stuff like that. So, but yeah, slice of life becomes pretty dark. That's pretty. I think a pretty standard, well-rounded artist could handle that. I don't think it needs to be anything super crazy. All right, let's make a few decisions on poker chips and cigarettes. We got white butts. That's going to be that shit brown ashtray that we've all seen. When you could used to be able to like smoke in McDonald's or Denny's, thought that popped into my head. Milo Manara's My Little Pony. Milo Manara's. I don't know who that is, or I'm gonna sound like a moron, aren't I? Explain, show, tell, link. Yeah, if anybody wants to pop a link to their artwork in the chat, feel free, man. I'm totally down for people sharing their art, and I always look at some good art too, or any art. It doesn't have to be the best in the world. Where is my lime green? I think it's in the PBR lunchbox. If you guys don't have one of these, then you need to fucking get one. Oh, that's a cool color. What the hell is that? Yeah, we may do that. Okay. There's some shit in this box I didn't even know I had. There's that green. All right, so we'll do the lime green, and I want to see new art. Show it. Exactly. Well, I like to throw it out there because I know a lot of other streams may not think that's appropriate or want that, but I'm totally cool with it. You know what I'm dreading the most is the Social Security checks. I got to come up with my own, but I'm just like the lettering, and then because if you look at a Social Security check from the government, it's got like Lady Liberty and the Statue of Liberty on it, and there's all this shit, and I'm like, isn't there some dumbed down version? I don't just want to write Social Security on it. Like, that would just ruin it. So I get the feeling I'm going to be spending some time on these checks. But I'm going to paint them, and then I'll go in with the ink later on, and maybe I'll do it off camera so I don't bore the shit out of you guys with lettering. All right. So, yeah, that'll look good. And again, Genius pipe. Bam. In fact, I'll show it on camera here. So here you go. Magnetic pipe. Same technology used in nuclear reactor cooling and CPU cooling. Smoke draws over these 2,000 divots. Magnetic. Clean it, wipe it off. It's a coughless. Put your weed there next to the awesome artwork. Slider goes on, back, smoke, draw, extinguish. And then you can, there you go. Sean, you've been bitching about these checks for days. Yeah, well, people who get Social Security checks bitch about their checks. So I'm bringing a little reality to it, Is my rig in here? Where the fuck did that go? Is he using it? Somebody stole my rig. Oh well. I was going to show off this new little pipe that I was making too, so it'll be like this whole box. Like this is the seedless Rick and Morty, but it's got like a pipe in here, and then it comes with like a dab mat, a dab rag, a dab tool, a sticker pack. So I'm working on one of these as well. So, you know, I'm sold. I'll buy two. They're amazing, dude. The industrial design on this thing is just absolutely stunning. You know, and it just got voted High Times #1 pipe a couple months ago. I mean, it's been slaying it. So, and geniuspipe.com is where you can go check out all the designs. They have QR coded ones now that you set up a page and then you scan the QR code and it actually gives you your own Genius Pipe page to upload photos and smoking reviews and, you know, hey, I'm smoking in front of a cop in Texas or whatever. So very cool stuff that they're doing over there at Genius Pipe, and very proud to have them as my sponsor this year. Tour sponsor, not my AA sponsor. Because that guy, failing. Cheers, guys. All right, let's drop in the, I'm going to two-tone these leaves up here for the roses. And yeah, so that'll bring in some of that color. This is going to be the baby blue that I'm going to use for these 1950s kind of little star things. So it'll be a nice blend. It'll be a little bit of color in here that'll kind of draw, you know, that color around the painting. And would you be able to? I sure would. Yeah. Here, I'll tell you what. There, that's my personal email. Well, that's my email, but, you know. Write me on email. Send me an email and tell me what it's about and whatnot, and I'll exchange with you there. And I don't want you to just have to put it in chat or whatnot and have it disappear. But if it's on the email and I can read it, and, you know, I mean, even if it's just a 3 or 4 sentence pitch or whatnot, let me know. And yeah, I'll give you some feedback for sure. 100%. Let's see. Let's grab. We're gonna start. Well, give me a clean brush. Here we go. A little bit of water. I'm gonna go into this blue first. I'm gonna get like 50 pitches in my email now. I saw your email, dude, and I've got this great idea about cats and how they like to juggle nuts. Woo! I think my buddy Kai is actually working on his book right now. He might know a few artists. He does an indie book. He's also the other artist that tours with me. And he's doing the art for my wife's new children's book right now. So she wrote it. He's doing all the black and white art, and then I'm going to paint it. And it's about a snowman who loses an eye, but his eye's made out of coal. So he thinks the only way to get a new eye is to be a real shithead to the elves and his friends, and Santa will bring him coal so he can get a new eyeball. But then he realizes that, you know, that's not cool. And, oh, hey, you know what? Where's that red? Because I completely forgot a section of the rose. There we go. Yeah, she's got some pretty funny ideas for some children's books. It's like stoner vision for children. But she has one book out right now, The Fruits of Our Labor. It's like an alphabet book, like zucchini, zookeeper, avocado, the artichoke, the artist, basketball, banana. So basically, like, teaches kids about vegetables and fruits and pairs them up with occupations. Because our parents always told us, eat your veggies and you'll grow up big and strong. But why? Why do I need to grow up big and strong? Well, because you could be. And then the book kind of goes from there. So it's like a book about answering just get the fuck out of my way answers that parents give kids. Stop annoying me answers. There we go. Oh, my hat getting in the way there. My lid. There we go. Yeah, bring in a little bit more color. There's not going to be too much variance in the color. She's pretty much going to be a red and white all the way up, and then this will be like I'll bring in more heavy salmon color to kind of blend it out, and then we'll go really big on these pale blue little 1950s patterns. Then I got to figure out what the next one is. If you guys want to help throw some ideas out there in chat. So if we brought the queen through, she's an old poker player in Reno with her social security check and whatnot. What are the other characters going to be doing? You know, what would the Hatter do? End up in an insane asylum, be a motivational speaker, live in a van down by the river. What would Alice do? Yes, we've already thought of stripping. That was the first thing. I gotta pay rent. We'll do the shadow on this side. I think the Hatter would make a good politician. Because he's so cryptic and he's so fucking weird and he's just like, but he's personable. I mean, he's got a lot of clout and everybody knows him and, the queen hasn't beheaded him yet. And so maybe we'll, maybe the Hatter for president. Thinking the caterpillar might end up in fast food since he's got all them arms and legs, which will make him quite an asset. Maybe a pizza maker. You're like, I need a pizza with olives, pepperoni, cheese, sausage, da-da-da, and like he puts one in each arm and there's your Papa Murphy's. One and done, son. There we go. So dark blue on the bottom, green on the top. And then, and again, stylistically, I don't worry about going over the black lines. I go back in with the Holbein ink at the very end and put all the additional like inking lines and whatnot, except in the visor. Cigarzar and I were talking about that earlier. When I did the green wash over the visor, would I go back in and do the lines? And I think the consensus is no, because it won't look like it's actually underneath the visor and kind of through that like shitty, smoky Chinese plastic, There we go. But yeah, the pipe 2 should be out. Oh, they're all going to be out before I go on tour. So late August, maybe? And we'll have them for all 3 of the big major rock shows for the end of the year. And then, so we'll have this one. We'll have a couple other characters. We are going to do a space alien one. And then I talked to him about some other ideas that he's, Dian, the owner, the creator, the inventor of the pipe, is kind of thinking it up. So. Visor's going to be green. Yeah, it's going to be like smoky green. It's like a traditional poker visor. I was kicking around, like if I made it red, it would blend in too much. And I think it would be almost too fashionable and not gaudy enough and not, like that shitty green enough. And I think it needs to be that so she looks like an accountant or a poker player, So, yeah, we'll do green on that. And it'll definitely like transition in as the blues kind of hop from here to here and bring your eye in here, and then the green that'll kind of be the flow of the greens pulling you around the painting. Yeah, probably like maybe this color green, you know, just like light green. They should rename it to like poker player visor green. Because we can come up with much better names for these paints. Hooker's green, I got that around here somewhere. That's a great one. If you can, make sure you use Hooker's green as much as possible. All right, so let's wash the brush. Yeah, do I have that mosquito painting? Yeah, I got that back there. We just hung up a bunch of new artwork in the living room. We just remodeled, so I'm trying to think what's behind me right now. I got the Chromatopede and the mosquito and the big Mongoose and then grind rod. I like using hookers. Yeah, they're fun to paint with. Paint by numbers with your local streetwalkers. Yeah, Sugar's writing a song right now. We had this whole discussion about Hooker Green the other night, so he's working on a song called Hooker Dreamcatcher. It's going to tell of the lost dreams of all the streetwalkers. There we go. Alright. Yeah, I'm glad I got to stream tonight. Yeah, earlier the internet was fucking up and I had a bunch of shit to do. I was an hour late. I was tardy. But I made it. Oh yeah, this is a dope track. And stylistically, the music I know has been hopping over from like kind of like spacey, some trippy chick singing in the background. This is a little bit more hard, but I mean, this Sugar's literally in like 15 different projects. He's definitely like a Cool Keith or Dr. Octagon, and several personalities at work there. So and he's, I mean, this guy's DJ'd. I've heard him mix polka with industrial and make it work. Very talented guy. Sonic Youth opened for him about 20 years ago up in Fargo. So very cool dude. Lots of time lapses. He all the footage that we do capture on here, he's time lapsing everything, writing music for it and whatnot. Better late than never, right? Yeah, you know who that excuse doesn't work on? Wives. Companions. There we go. I'll lift this up too so it's more level with the camera. Get a feel for what we've worked on tonight. What time is it? 2 a.m. already? What the fuck? All right. There we go. Right on. I got some cool new samples coming in the mail too. I'll show those off on they should be here by Friday. They should be here by tomorrow. Hopefully Z overnighted them, but I have some new mats and stuff coming out, and he just sent me up the prototypes. So as I get new products in too, and they're about to launch, I'll do some reveals on the stream. So it'll be like pre-release. You guys will see it before anybody else, which is always good. We'll throw up some devils for that. I kind of wonder where the hell that rig went. They better not be smoking out of it. Goddamn stoners. Yeah, I got some new hat pins coming out, and some little jars for your wax. All right, digging it, digging it. I'm going to call it tonight, actually. I think I'm going to stop here with the greens, and so tomorrow I'm going to start jumping into the detail work, a little bit of the browns. I'll get the brown dropped in. We'll get some cigars going. Probably color in the Social Security checks and bitch about them more. I will do the blue. We'll drop in the salmon. We'll detail all this out, and then we'll put this in. Probably gonna brush this in last as far as the visor or whatnot. So, but Journeyman, thank you so much. I don't know if you're still hanging out, but thank you for bringing all the lovely people to my stream and hosting me, and everybody who followed me tonight, thank you so much. A big PBR cheers to you. I hope you guys come back and check out the paintings as they progress and as they finish, and we are going to be doing a lot more cool stuff. I will be streaming the remuraling of my 23-foot motorhome. I have two 32-foot walls in my brand new studio here that need to be muraled. So as opposed to just doing canvases on the desktop here, I will be doing some larger scale paintings as well, and whatever other crazy creative shit we can get into. I have custom bourbon barrels that I'm painting, and I do have these little hand-cast resin figures of this little space alien dude. I'll have to bring one of those on the show and show you guys. So lots of very different and cool stuff coming up. Give me a few weeks to kind of get all that together and whatnot. I got a big family reunion coming up next week, and I'm negotiating some contracts for business. So right now I'm just doing some stuff that I can do on the this general area right here. So. Thank you guys, and I appreciate it, and I will see you tomorrow at 9 p.m. for the hopefully finishing of this lovely piece. Cigars are, thanks for hanging, dude. I know it's like 4 a.m. in Texas. You are a trooper. And now you make me feel like I have to come to Texas and set up a show so you can come sell and hang out, and we'll smoke some cigars. All right, hang on a minute. Let me see if anybody, who's on? Maybe we can raid someone. I think I remember how to do it. Woo! Channels. We got, oh yeah, let's go over to him. This guy's rad, and he's fucking weird. Let's see. Whoops. Did I do that right? Yeah. This guy's cool. He's nuts. He plays retro video games. He's got some cool shit. I mean, it is one of, if you want to see an OBS screen that has more shit in it, this is the guy. So we're going to go raid him and have a good time with that. So once again, thank you so much, everybody, for hanging out, and I look forward to building the stream up. This is only my 5th week streaming. Already completed 7 paintings or whatnot, and we will see you over at the Jub Jub.